Hey, this is Doug from Foscale Models, and in this video I'm going to show you how I did some graffiti on this concrete retaining wall in the background here. If you're doing any modeling from the mid-1960s to the present day, chances are there's going to be some graffiti on your railroad, whether it's on cars or walls. And with these techniques, we're going to try using decals that you can buy in the market, or you can hand paint and draw them yourself. We're going to do a combination of both to get a nice variety of graffiti. One of the things you'll notice here on our graffiti wall is that some are hand-drawn and some are done with decals. The more colorful ones, like this one here, here, and here, are decals, and the rest are all hand-drawn or hand-painted. What this does is give it a bit of variety, because real graffiti, some of it is big and epic, like this piece here, or they're just small tags, letters, initials, and so forth. And again, like working with our scenery on this wall, with the different colors, the different types and sizes of graffiti make it a bit more realistic. Now, before you begin, you need some reference material. You certainly could look on Google, on the internet, but it helps to have some printed material in front of you with some real graffiti examples. This is a book on New York City subways, so of course this has got some great examples of graffiti that we can copy. You don't want to make up graffiti on your own, especially if you've never done it before. You really need some reference to get it to look close to right. It might not look perfect, but at least if you have some basis of reference to how the letters are drawn and styled, you'll be better off. Before we start, let's look at the tools we'll be using. What you definitely want is a fine point Sharpie marker. This is different than the regular Sharpie, as it has a very fine point. We want a regular pencil, a very small pointed brush. It's pretty small there, smallest one you have probably, and then a regular Sharpie. But just make sure the point is new and not blunted. You want a little bit of a point because you don't want too big of a mark so it's out of scale. And then we're also going to use some acrylic paint. We've got some flat black gesso, some white gesso, and some regular red acrylic paint. And we've also got some white paper here. Now, what we want to do is test out sometimes an example firsthand on paper before we start on our wall. So I've got some photo reference material off to the left here. So I'm looking at some initials that are like that. It's RTW, believe it or not. So I just want to try it first beforehand, before I start on the wall. So I'm just going to go right to my wall and kind of duplicate what I just did. Oh, and one other tool you want to have is a scale figure nearby. This is an H.O. Prizer figure. And we obviously want to use him so we know how high someone could write some graffiti. Of course, it could be higher. You could always use a ladder to do graffiti up high, but this wall is 22 feet. Chances are it's not going to be up here. So we're pretty much going to keep it below these cables. Either someone can get on a pallet or an oil drum to reach up high, but we're not going to go past there, really. We've got this first tag here. And it's fine, but what I like about the Sharpie marker is that if this was a spray can, sometimes the paint would drip. So we could add some little paint drips, and now it looks a little bit more like it was painted on the wall. So another tag we can do is also with the Sharpie marker. we'll use the large Sharpie marker now. And we want to be a little careful again because this is a much bigger stroke with the spray can if it were a spray can. Now to give it some scale, we again go back to our fine Sharpie marker, add some drips. I'm also going to be conscious of leaving some space for some decals later, so I'm going to move over a bit. And another thing that there's lots of tag graffiti, which is all these dramatic, artistic kind of signatures and so forth. But there's also characters, so you can have some fun with, you know, they're people's large faces. These are fingers. You could draw some eyes. And some teeth. So I've got some space here to do a larger tag or a larger mural of graffiti. And one of the things you can do is depict the city or town you're in to make it specific, so it's a little more local. So I'm going to do an NYC for New York City, and I'm going to put the year next to it. I'm doing it in pencil first, just to rough it out. Now, if the color is a little too bright and it looks too fresh and new, you can take some 220 grit sandpaper and just gently take off some of the paint. Then we can also take some rust chalk, the same kind that we used to weather some of the wall, and go over the graffiti so it looks like it's been there a while. Okay, so now we're going to do some decals, and you can get them online from a couple of different places, but Blair, who also makes laser cut craftsman kits, makes this great set of, they have more than 3, they have about, I think, 10 or so sets, graffiti decals. And what's great about them is that they're already pre-cut, they're laser cut, so all you have to do is pop them out of their little tabs and then apply them to your wall. So with most decals, just like the kind you'd put on rolling stock, we want to put it in some water and soak it for about 30 seconds to a minute so we can slide it off the paper backing. there. And you'll also need a decal solution. This is from AK Interactive, but you can also get Solve Set from Walthers. There might be some other brands. And this helps kind of secure it down to the surface. And speaking of the surface, off camera, we sprayed the wall with a gloss. You can see it's got a little shine to it now. And decals work much better on a glossy surface. Now the wall's shiny, which we don't want, so when we're done, we'll hit it with a flat spray after we're finished putting all the decals on and all the graffiti. So after about a minute, this decal will now slide off this paper backing, right? So we're going to put it in position. I'm putting it a bit above the bottom of the wall, just because I might have some scenery there and I want it to be seen. So I'm just going to slide it off, remove the paper backing, and you can still move it around a little bit at this point if you have to position it correctly. And we'll take our decal solution, and with a brush, just brush over the decal. And this will help it set into all the little cracks of the wall, and it's basically glue for decals. So I'll just show you one more here. So now we've got our hand-painted stuff and our decals in place, and now we can go back with some hand painting and drawing to fill in the voids, because we don't usually these walls are packed with graffiti, so we don't want to leave any open space. So we'll just start filling in spots with some more tags. Okay, we're done with our graffiti wall. We're pretty happy with how it came out. It's really starting to look like New York in the 1970s, which is what we're going for on this model railroad. Be sure to use some reference. Don't try to do it on your own and make up graffiti. You just copy it from a book or a Google search, and try these decals out from blairline.com. They're excellent. And that's it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.